In this lesson, we'll look at printing in Windows 10. Printing in Windows 10 is really considered a system task, and this allows most apps to just hand off the printing task to the system to manage the details. That being said, the option to print is not always obvious, and in some apps you may need to look for a print option. For example, you won't always see the option to print in the Maps app until you expand the More ellipsis to reveal some hidden options. Also, when calculating directions between points on a map, you won't see a print option until you've selected a route. Then the print icon appears on the route menu itself. The precise location of the print option is not always consistent, but a good place to start is to look for the More or the ellipsis, which often reveals hidden or minimized options. Modern apps like the Mail and Calendar app also hides the print option inside of the More ellipsis. In some apps, the choice to print has even been managed through the Share option. So once you have found the print command, you'll see a print window appear. Now, because these modern apps are all handing off that print task to Windows, you'll often find the same consistent interface, which is really one advantage to printing in Windows. Again, that's the way the modern apps handle printing. Remember that these are the apps you'll find and install through the Windows Store app. Now, desktop applications may be quite different. They may manage the initial print job in their very own interface, and this can make things vary quite a bit depending on the application. The current desktop version of Microsoft Word has a modern interface, but the print job is still handled within Word at this point. Sometimes this difference is important because tools that are unique to that application may be used to modify the print job or even add details to a print job that are beyond what the Windows print tool could provide. I'm going to return to the Windows print job. So most of the settings we see here are going to be pretty familiar to anyone that's had to print documents or photos before. The specific settings that appear here will be determined by the printer to an extent. For example, if you're printing to a PDF file, you will not see choices for copies. However, a physical printer will let you indicate how many copies should be printed. Orientation obviously lets me place the job either in a portrait or a landscape layout. I can select pages to print, and this can be handy when printing things like emails or web pages that always tend to throw in an extra page or two when you really just need a single line of text. Use the preview pane to see what each page has for content, and then you can select current page, indicate a range of pages, or stick with all. Scale is useful when you're trying to minimize how many pages are being generated. You may be able to squeeze more into a single page with a lower scale setting, and scale can help when you're trying to get just a portion of a page. Margins also can be used to control how much of the page is used for printing. Your choices are normal, narrow, moderate, and then wide. You may see the option to print headers and footers, and these can generate useful reference information that could be included in the print job when they're enabled. The document title, page numbers, source, and date are examples of the type of information that can appear in the header and footer fields. You'll also see a link for more settings. Now again, the specifics that appear here will be determined by your printer. You'll find choices under broader categories like page layout, paper and quality, and output options. You may be able to indicate two-sided printing, a paper source, collation, and color. Select OK here to return to your main print window. Once everything looks OK, select Print to send the job to your printer. Now here we can see a printer is selected. If I want to change printers, I can select from the drop-down and choose from available printers. And some of these, again, are not actual printers. Instead, they're a way of printing a file or generating a file. It's actually being converted to a digital file format. For example, I can create an XPS or PDF document by selecting the appropriate printer from this list. I could then email or save that document without having cut down a single tree. Now we're going to look at printing a PDF specifically in a separate lesson. There are a couple of settings here that you should understand that influence how the default printer works. One setting is seen here. By default, you'll often see a setting here that allows the app to override default print settings. If you have set up specific defaults for a printer, an app with this enabled can override those choices. Now this often works to your benefit, but if you run into issues with results not being as expected, this is a factor to keep in mind. The other setting to be aware of is in the Settings app itself. Select Devices, and then Printers and Scanners. At the bottom of the list of printers, you'll see a switch, Let Windows manage my default printer. When this is enabled, Windows will update the default printer to be the last one you successfully printed to. Again, for most people, this is not likely to be a problem. However, if you routinely work with multiple printers, you may want to disable this setting. From here, you can also troubleshoot a printer Generally, if a printer is not connected or is powered down, it will indicate it right here that it's offline. To see additional tools, select the printer and then select Manage. From here, you can launch a troubleshooting wizard, print a test page, or check the properties. In this lesson, we've looked at printing in Windows 10. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.